Hi, this is Scott with SLP Impact, and today we're going to be talking about how to create a robust narrative with the students who are struggling with language difficulties. So if I were to tell you that I can rapidly have a student produce a 16-part story, everything's in the right order, every section of the story contains the information for who, what, when, where, he uses cohesive elements like first, then, after, and it's together, and it doesn't matter if it's nonfiction or fiction. How would that make you feel? That's what I thought. So with a single piece of paper with 4 squares and 2 lines under each square, we can make this happen, and I'm going to show you how. So here are the steps. We're going to choose a book that's at the child's grade level. Now, we won't necessarily work through an entire book in a single session. What we'll do is we'll start with the book. We'll cover as much as we can in that session, and we'll have the child draw the pictures related to the story. So if you're only doing the top 2 pictures, basically that's half the story. For our little guys, we're going to write what they're saying or what they're describing underneath to help them if they're not at a level of writing. The first thing we're going to do is write the sequencing words. First, then, after, at the end. These are going to go under each box, and they're going to be the same sequencing words that we use time in and time out every time we're doing a narrative. We're going to write what the child says below after the words, or have them write it, always beginning with the sequencing words, and work our way through the entire story to where we have basically the story divided into 4 main parts. Then what we do is we move on to the WH question words. So what we do is we write who, what, when, where across the bottom of the paper or on the side of the paper. Here's an example in Spanish where we did this for a nonfiction story about what happened over Thanksgiving. Then we're going to color code it. And for an easy way to remember it, I use red, orange, yellow, green for who, what, when, where, so that it stays consistent across all the weeks. We go into each box and we identify the who, the what, the when, and the where and circle it. In the beginning, we just want one of those to show up on the paper. So one paper will have minimally 4 answers to WH questions. But as we move on, we want all 4 of those to exist in each of the squares. So who, what, when, where, who, what, when, where, all the way down to the end. Then we ask what they're missing. And if they're missing anything, we go through and we count, and there should be 4 of the same circle. And an added bonus trick is to have children trade their papers if you're working in groups so that they can correct each other. And it's going to ratchet up their accuracy if they know that one of their buddies is going to be correcting this. And we're going to do this for every square. So we have the story laid out in order, and we have the narrative structure covered through all this, adding up to 16 parts. Easy for data collection because out of 16, you can say how many components, or out of 4, how many sequencing words, or how many WH question words. If you have children who are below this level and are struggling, we can think of this as fourths. So you can take a single box and try to answer questions that relate to the single story. Now, as kids kind of cross 2nd and 3rd grade, they're less likely to draw and they're more likely to write, which is absolutely fine. Here we've got an example on the left where people have the student just wrote the questions and a simple answer, and on the right where they're at the level of writing paragraphs. If they can't answer any of the WH questions or are struggling with those, we need to take a step back and make sure they have those solidly too. So we're going to do this for every single square and make sure that you do it alongside of them. The students we work with learn primarily through imitation and through mimicry. So if you're working along with them, it's an immediate example of what they need to do. And students like nothing more than to correct your paper. If you are doing it where you're passing your paper to correct, make some example errors and send them on. They love to catch things that aren't there, especially when the teacher does them, and that proves learning. So that's it. With these 6 simple steps, we can create a robust narrative. We know the students we work with need high repetition. So regardless of whatever book you use, we use the same process in and out so that the structure that they're gaining is what's building, and they can apply that to their fiction and the nonfiction stories that they're being introduced in the classroom. So the templates that you've seen in this video you can download below this video on SLP Impact, And if you're looking for more information on this, we've released a literacy-based intervention course that coincides with the literacy-based intervention book that we've written. Thank you. That's all for today.